Vignette number
106
from Zen Is Right Here, Teaching Stories and Anecdotes of Shunryu Suzuki. "Why do you shave your head?" a visitor asked Suzuki Roshi after a lecture at Sokoji. Suzuki rubbed his head and answered, "It's the fundamental in hairstyling." That's from Mel Weitzman. May he rest in peace. We lost Mel. Gosh. About 10 days ago, 11 days ago. He was the abbot of the Berkeley Zen Center a long time. He went there in 1967 to take care of it, and eventually became abbot, and retired last fall, maybe August, not sure. Anyway, that transpired at Sokoji in 1966. So it says, the book says it's the fundamental hairstyle. I said fundamental in hairstyling. I heard him say once, it's the ultimate in hairstyling. That's what he'd answer when people would ask. So it's starting to rain. I don't know if you can hear that. This is sort of like comic relief in this book. And it was comic relief from him. He'd shaved his head all his life. His father shaved his head when he was a little kid. He'd always had a shaved head. Now, I'm sure there were some times when he was young or something that he didn't shave his head. But I don't know. He basically shaved his head his whole life. I mean, his father shaved his head. They were poor, and it was the easiest thing to do, I guess. That's what he said. It was because his father couldn't afford the right clippers, so if he just kept shaving it was easy. And so kids would tease him at school. And, then he got ordained as a monk when he was 13, and by a student of his father's, Gyokuju and so on. So he'd been shaving his head all his life. He didn't think about why. Monks shaved their heads. Now, my dear wife, Katrinka, said, well, there's some reasons why. It's monks shave their heads, reduces vanity, maybe, and like a bunch of monks living near each other, maybe they'd get head lice, and easy to take care of that. And then I added, yes, and it helps with regimentation. What else? Where else do they cut where else do they cut hair real short? Prisons and the military. So it helps. It helps. I guess keep individualism down. Anyway, but look, I've lived with others with the shaved head. After a while, you forget about it, and people are just who they are. I remember a guy coming to Zen Center. And this is way back, Fort Tassajara. In the fall, before we bought it, in 1966. And he came there, he said, well, yeah, I'm going to go study with this Hindu yogi said, yeah, he's really enlightened. Suzuki can't be enlightened because he shaves his head. I said, oh, why is that? He said, well, he has to have the thought, I'm going to shave my head, whereas the guru I want to study with never cuts his hair. It's, long and it dreadlocks. So his mind is clear and free. When we started Tassajara, at some point very early, all us guys started shaving our heads. And it was cool. Suzuki liked it, But then when we had a guest teacher come from Eiheiji, the head training temple in Japan, he said, only monks shave their heads. Lay people shouldn't shave their heads. So we stopped shaving our heads until we got ordained as priests. We didn't say monk. But we keep it short. Nobody really thought about it that much. And in the summer, when it was, could somebody keep long hair and be there? Yeah, I guess so. Sure. They didn't have to. I can't remember any rule like that. You couldn't, somebody had a beard, they could keep it. But, everybody wants to conform. Well, that's not true. But somewhat, we all did it. But then when Tasugami said that, we stopped until we got ordained. And then people stopped after they got ordained, just depending on what their trip was. I mean, the whole way of expressing oneself after one was ordained changed. And whether one's head was shaved or not really didn't matter. But, of course, he's right. It is the ultimate in hairstyling. I'd sort of like to change it. I could change it because I'm right now going over Zen Is Right Here because it's coming out with the sequel, Zen Is Right Now, in July. And today, I've got 2 days left before the door closes and no more changes can be made. And even now it can't be many, just mainly looking for mistakes. But I could say I wanted to change that. Suzuki rubbed his head and answered, it's the ultimate in hairstyling. It'd be fun to have one of the vignettes read differently from the way it came out 21 years ago or something, right? 20 years ago. I think it came out in 2001. 20 years ago. It came out as To Shine One Corner of the World. And that was Broadway, which was an imprint of Random House. And it went out of print, and Shambhala picked it up and made it Zen Is Right Here. Actually, they asked me to give them another name. And I think Michael Catt suggested Zen Is Right Here. We went over the vignettes that were in the book. And, one of the early ones is why do I have to come here if Zen is everywhere? And Suzuki said, yeah, Zen's everywhere, but for you, Zen is right here. So, hey, maybe I'll change that to, it's the ultimate in hairstyling. If I only make one change, they'll be very happy. But we'll see, I don't know. It's also just be nice to leave it the way it was. Either way, sort of cool to have a change like that. One little change. Well, you've got to have the new one. It's also got a few changes in the attributions to who said it. I mean, I went over it and went, what? He didn't say that. Sometimes, I attributed something to who told me and not to who said it because I didn't know who said it. And then later, after 21 years, I'd learned who said it. So I changed it, stuff like that. Anyway, It's the ultimate in hairstyling. Okay, that's good. Thank you. This has been a Cuke Audio mini podcast. I'm DC Booba of Cuke Audio and Cuke Archives, coming to you from sleepy Sanur with Doggett, Pandita, Feline Cuchita, and dear, lovely Katrinka. And we're wishing you and yours and all of us a grand awakening.